Public safety is a huge concern for many people, particularly for today's guest. Hi and welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Elena Russo. Please welcome Jeff Spiegelman, who is the Delaware House of Representatives from District 11. Jeff, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Now, before we get into the issues of public safety that you're concerned with, talk a little bit about District 11. That's a newly developed district.
That's right. It was a district that was redistricted during the census of 2010. They realized that the 8th was a little too populated and that the 29th was a little too populated, so they cut the two in half and glued them together in what we laughingly call a Franken district. It runs from just south of Middletown to just south of Merrydale along western Delaware.
And that area is mostly rural?
Very rural. In fact, I believe the largest urban center in my district is the town of Townsend. I think the town loves to hear that it's the largest anything. So, yes, very, very rural.
Talk about some of the concerns your constituents have, especially right now with the public safety.
Well, a lot of my constituents have a concern, as we all do, with public safety, with school safety. But it seems that most of my constituents have a real concern about holding on to their right as an American to defend themselves, to defend their family, and to defend their property without the government restricting what tools they're allowed to use in that situation.
So obviously you're talking about the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms.
I am, yes.
So obviously things need to change, as we've been hearing all over the news for many states.
Yes.
And obviously you feel the same way.
Yes, I do. In fact, it seems to me that the recent tragedies that have happened around the country have pushed many people to the idea that if we get rid of the tools of criminals and madmen, then somehow criminals and madmen will no longer be able to commit murders and commit crimes. For those of us who are pro-gun, we find that to be a ludicrous statement that flies in the face of common sense. That it's not the tool. The tool is just that, a tool. And that, in fact, it's actually the actions of the criminals. We tend to see it this way, that those against firearms think it would cut down on drinking and driving by making it more difficult for a sober person to buy a car. Whereas we say, no, if you want to cut down on drinking and driving, we need to focus on why people are drinking and driving in the first place. That is the focus of those who say, listen, we want to improve school safety, we want to improve public safety, but the guns are not to blame.
How do you feel about doing background checks on these individuals who are looking to purchase firearms? I mean, does something there need to change?
Well, in the state of Delaware, if you were to go into a store, any number of our gun stores or some of the bigger stores, and you were to fill out a form, well, you have to go through a background check. And so one of the proposals that we've heard is to require background checks for private sales. Of course, the problem then becomes it makes it very difficult for me to, for instance, take my father's gun and go hunting one day. I would have to go in and fill out a background check to borrow that firearm. It just, again, it flies in the face of common sense because how many of those firearms end up in crimes? The answer is astronomically small.
So are there not different laws for long guns?
There are different laws for long guns as opposed to handguns. The background check is a little different. But again, what we see, what we pro-gun people see, is that this is actually not the issue that many of our opponents want to make it. Between 2007 and 2011, the FBI reported a total of 2 deaths in the state of Delaware by rifles of any caliber, shape, size. In other words, more people in the state were killed by gravity.
Wow.
In fact, more people were killed by peanut butter and bees in this state than were killed by rifles of any style. So is this really a public safety issue?
That is the question. We thank you so much for coming in and discussing with us your views.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
You've just heard from Jeff Spiegelman, who represents the Delaware House of Representatives, District 11. Thank you for watching Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Elena Russo.